how you entered in US politics. You are the one of the first women to be elected, Muslim woman to be elected.
Once you're interested in public service, once you're interested in politics, it doesn't matter where you are.
Nusrat Bhutto, how was she like as a person?
She had a very solid understanding of how the government works, what policies should be in place.
And did you meet young Benazir Bhutto and them back then?
Yes, Benazir was also a dear friend. It was through the Pakistan People's Party, which was founded by Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and we were all very active in that party. She guided me, she helped me through
Who,
my
who,
journey there.
who are you talking about right now?
I'm talking about Senator, she's now retired, Senator Loretta Weinberg. She was the majority leader in the New Jersey State Senate.
You joining the Democratic Party here, right? Why
Yes.
did you choose Democrats back?
I think the Democrats do a very good job on social justice, on environmental justice.
What laws and responsibility the federal Congress and the Senate has versus the state one has?
Everybody seems to think that it's the Congress and the US Senate that controls their lives. Actually, no.
Who is elected there is very important. Am I right?
Absolutely important, because that is how we can influence policy making. This time it's harder because there are four people running against us.
Can you tell us a little more of your achievement?
I think my first achievement has been to make people aware of the Muslim community. And food security is a very important thing. It's very important for us. We have a lot of bad environment in New Jersey.
ICE agents, the immigration agents, are showing up doors to doors.
I have never seen an administration which is so cold hearted and so cruel.
Biden administration, especially the young people, did not vote for Democrat.
To vote for the right candidate, you have to vote in the primary. If you want the right candidate to be your assembly person, you have to vote in the primary.
Welcome, everyone. She is the one of the first Muslim women to be elected in the New Jersey legislature. Shama Haider served as a secretary to the First Lady of Pakistan, Nusrat Bhutto. She also got elected in both 2001 and 2015 to serve the Tinefly New Jersey Borough Council. And then she got into the New Jersey State Assembly since 2014, 2024 as a deputy majority leader. Let me welcome Ms. Shama Haider, Assemblywoman for New Jersey State Assembly, District 37. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining, and it's a pleasure to have you. Let me go back to your earlier days when you were in Pakistan. Can you tell us a little more of the city that you were growing up? How was it feel like, and some bit of your younger life?
Well, I was born in Lahore, but my father was in the government of Pakistan, so we moved a couple of times. We lived in Karachi, we lived in Lahore, we lived in Pindi, Rawalpindi, and I had my schooling in all three places. I went to college in Lahore and Rawalpindi, and I actually grew up in Pakistan and only moved to the United States when I got married. So most of my life was spent in Pakistan.
All right, wonderful. Why do you involve any kind of politics there? Because when I was reading about you, I was fascinated that you were secretary or very close aide of the first lady of Pakistan, none other than the wife of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is very much related to the history of creation of Bangladesh and whatnot. So, can you tell us a little more about that role that you played there?
Well, it starts a little earlier. It starts with the military dictatorship.
Uh-huh.
And I was in college at that time. And you know how students will always be at least in our part of the world, the students are always in the forefront of demonstrations and
Right.
protests. So all of us used to protest the military dictatorship. We wanted return to democracy, and that's actually where I became interested in politics. And for Pakistan, at that time, the only road to democracy was through the Pakistan People's Party, which was founded by Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. And we were all very active in that party. And that's how I eventually ended up being the secretary to the prime minister's wife.
Wow. What an experience. And how long you served that role back then?
Oh, I would say for at least 5.5, 5 years, 5 years, five,
Right.
6 years.
Right. Do you remember the timeline, like what year to what year?
71 to 77, 6 years actually, 71, but 71, uh, end of 71. So I would say 72 to 77.
All right. Can you tell us a little more about Nusrat Bhutto? How was she like as a person?
You know, I have to say that she was the most grounded, the most kind hearted, and the least affected by her high position.
Hmm.
She treated me like a daughter. I was like literally treated like a daughter in the house. And she was not affected at all by being in such a high position as the wife of the prime minister. She had no airs about her. She had a very solid understanding of how the government works, what policies should be in place, and she was really a wonderful mentor for any young person to have.
And did you meet young Benazir Bhutto and them back then?
Yes, Benazir was also a dear friend. She was much younger than me, but the children would come and go from the house. And then, when later on, when Benazir was herself fighting for democracy, uh, you know, we remained friends. She would come to the United States. I would host her at my home, and she was also, I consider, a dear friend.
Oh, great to hear. Are you still in touch with Benjir's son, I believe, and daughter? They are also very much into the
I
Pakistan
didn't
politics.
really know them very much because they were living in Dubai and Pakistan, and I was here. So my contact was more with her personally, and to some extent with Mr. Zardari when he would travel with her. But the children were very young and they grew up there, so I really had no real interaction with them.
Got it, got it, got it. Let's learn from you about how you entered in U.S. politics. You are the one of the first women to be elected, Muslim woman to be elected in New Jersey State Legislature, right? Tell us a
Yeah,
little
I
more.
am the
How did you
first
got into
Muslim
the
to
politics here?
I am the first Muslim to be elected to the New Jersey State Assembly. Well, when I came here, once you're interested in public service, once you're interested in politics, it doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
The interest doesn't go away. So when I moved here and my children were still small, I moved to my hometown now, Tenafly, and I got involved with first the Parents Association. I was very active in that. I became the president of the association. Then I got involved with an organization called the League of Women Voters. I'm sure you know about it. They do a lot of work in democracy building. I got involved with them. I chaired that. Then in my town, I volunteered everywhere. I volunteered on all the boards and commissions, all the local towns, as you well know, in New Jersey, all the towns have municipal governments, and the municipal governments have boards, commissions, planning boards. So I've served everywhere. Then I became involved with the Democratic Party, and
Mm-hmm.
I became chair of the Democratic Party in my town. And we used to run elections for candidates, and then I ran myself. I ran for council. I got elected. Then I took a break. Then I ran again later for council, and I worked with the county Democratic Party. I worked with state assembly people. Here, I also was lucky to have a wonderful mentor. She was the majority leader in the Senate. She guided me, she helped me through
Who,
my
who,
journey
who
here.
who are you talking about right
I'm
now?
talking about Senator, she's now retired, Senator Loretta Weinberg. She was
Mm-hmm.
the majority leader in the New Jersey State Senate.
I
And
see.
she became a real mentor for me. She helped me when I was elected. She guided me, uh, you know, um, uh, it's always good to have a mentor, because
And was
that's
she
how
the
you learn.
Assemblywoman of the same district that you were Assemblywoman right
She
now?
was she was the assemblywoman first of our district, then she was the senator of our district. That's how I knew her, because of my local political work.
Hmm.
So I had actually stepped down from council. I was enjoying my children and grandchildren, and then Senator Weinberg and the party chair came to me and said, "We would like you to run for this seat." This was in 2021. So, I thought, why not? If I have the opportunity, then I must take it.
Right. You mentioned about you joining the Democratic Party here, right? Why did
Yes.
you choose Democrats back then? Why not running for as an independent or as a Republican? What was the values that resonated to you?
I think the Democratic Party's values are closest to what my values are. I'm proud to call myself a progressive person. I think the Democrats do a very good job on social justice, on environmental justice, on immigration policies, on women's policies. I think these things are very important for us. And as an immigrant, these things matter a lot. When we are immigrants, we tend to just focus on working hard, making sure our families flourish, making sure our children go to good schools and have a good education. But we must also, at the same time, remember, if we don't integrate ourselves with the political system, we will always be the outsiders looking in. So I felt I had to get involved in what was going on around me.
Right, right. If you don't mind, can you break us a little bit of how the state legislature work on contrast of the Senate and Congress that we all know? There is a U.S. Congress and Senate, and there is a state assembly and a state Senate. What laws and responsibility the federal Congress and the Senate has versus the state one has?
Well, first of all, every state has its own form of government. It's
Mhm.
different. In
Yes.
New Jersey, we mirror actually what happens at the national level. So we have a state assembly, which is like the House of Representatives. We have a state senate, which is like the US Senate. And
Mhm.
then our governor, who's the head of the executive, is like the president.
Mhm.
There are 40 legislative districts in New Jersey, which are
Mhm.
divided by population, about 225 to 230,000 people in
Mhm.
each district. There are
Mhm.
about 225,000 in my district. And
Right,
each district has one senator and two assembly persons. So
right.
I am one assembly person, and my colleague Ellen Park, who is also, by the way, the first Korean to be elected to the state assembly.
Right. I
We are
remember
both
her. I was lucky to
first.
meet her with you, yes,
Yes.
in the event,
So
right?
we are the two assembly people, and we have a very diverse district.
Mhm.
So this is how it works in terms of government. In terms of policy, everybody seems to think that it's the Congress and the US Senate that controls their lives. Actually, no. They control the very high level things like, international policy, monetary policy, and things like that. But on a local level where you live, it is really your state that has most of the power. Whether it's
Mhm.
your DMV, whether it's your Medicaid, whether it's your, Social Security benefits and all, they may come from the federal government, but they are all managed by the state. So
So
the
you're talking
state,
about the funding, for example, which comes from the
yeah, the
federal, but
funding. Oh,
distribution and the management is locally, right?
yeah. So Medicaid funding comes from the federal government, but all
Mhm.
the management is done at the state level. So the
Right.
state has a lot of authority. Education, all the schools are under the state. They are run by independently by the boards of education, but there is a Department of Education which generally oversees what these boards. Of course, the boards are very independent. They do not respond. They do not reply to that department, but that's where the policies, that's where the curriculum mandates are developed. So
Mhm.
it is really the state which covers your day to day life more than anything else.
Right, right. So it is very important for people, the voters, to go out and elect their local leaders. It's not just enough that, hey, I have a senator or I have a congressperson who is probably Democratic, but what is happening in your local neighborhoods and who is elected there is very important. Am I right?
Absolutely important. And I want to say it's important for everyone, but for our communities. And when I say our, I talk as a Muslim, I
Right.
talk as a South Asian, and I'm
Mhm.
saying this: it's very important for our communities to become entrenched in the political system, because that is how we can influence policy making.
Right.
Right now, I was the first Muslim, then one more Muslim got elected, and now a third Muslim has got elected. So if we can build on this strength,
Yeah.
we can influence. Now we were able. One thing that has happened is in New Jersey, there is now January has been dedicated as Muslim Heritage Month. So
Right.
there is a building awareness about the Muslim community. People understand it. I am in the assembly, so I am able to reflect our values to people. So during Ramzan, what I do is I always request the speaker to allow, we start all assembly proceedings with a prayer.
Mhm.
So I then request during Ramzan, I request the speaker to allow me to bring a Muslim imam. It has never happened before in the assembly because there was no Muslim to do it.
Yeah.
This is a way we are making others come to know about us and our culture, to understand us, that we too are, we may be little different, but we are just like anybody else. So
Right. And you are mentioning a very important point. Like in a research, it shows that majority of the American people, they didn't actually meet a Muslim in person, right?
no, no. So I make it a point to do these things. For Muslim Heritage Month, I invited every year. What I do is I invite some people, usually younger people, and we give them certificates and present them to the assembly as
Mhm.
young Muslim or achievers or Muslim achievers, even if they're not very young, leaders of the community.
Right.
It's just a way of telling people that the Muslim community exists and the Muslim community has a role in this country.
Right.
So we need more people to get involved. We need more people to run for office. And you don't even have to aim to run just for Congress or state. Run for the Board of Education, run for council, run for anything. But
Yes.
raise your profile. That's very important.
I also remember in the Ramadan, for the first time, in many towns in New Jersey, is doing a Crescent lighting, where I
Yes.
also saw you. You were giving a speech, and you were an invited guest, and you were encouraging everybody to do this activism you just mentioned.
I think it has become a wonderful thing that, at least I know, in Bergen County, nearly 30, 40 towns had Crescent Lightings.
Right.
We had, and some of those towns have no more than 15, 20 Muslim families in them. It's not like there are hundreds of them. Some
Mhm.
may have only 10 or 12 families, but they step out, they make the effort, they light the crescent. We invite the mayors, we invite the council, we invite local leaders. It's a way of raising awareness.
Right. Let's talk about some other role that you play. I know that this is the, if I'm not mistaken, you're the current Assemblywoman in the District 37, and you are running for one more time, right?
Yes,
And you are facing a primary.
yes,
Can you
very
tell,
difficult primary.
very difficult primary, right? So, can you tell us a little more, like why there is a primary this time? Did you face a primary last time and the time
The first
before?
time we ran, there was a primary. In
Mhm.
2021, there was a primary.
Yeah.
But the ballot of a design at that time was different. And that was the old ballot design, which everybody knew.
Hmm.
And we were able to defeat those candidates. This time it's harder because there are four people running against us.
Hmm.
And there's a new ballot. And this is the first time that ballot is going to be used. So
Hmm.
that is going to create a lot of confusion for sure. For sure. Because when people see something new for the first time, they they're not, because I even now I meet people and they say, "Oh, I just have to walk up and down the line." No, there is no line. Now you have to do a different, it goes this way, horizontal ballot. You have to look for our names, because each name is drawn and the names are then put in that order. So
Yeah.
people have to go and look for our names. It's not like the old time when they said, oh, all the Democrats are here and all the
Left hand
Republicans
side
are
and right hand side, and I'm
there.
gonna just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So this is going to be very difficult. And they're strong candidates also. They
Mm.
have a lot of backing, a lot of communities backing them. So it's going to be a tough fight.
Can you tell us a little more of your achievement? Because this is you're already in the assembly for at least two times, right? That means
Oh,
at least
yes.
4 years, right?
It'll be
Uh,
4 years at the end of this year.
yeah. So, what are some of the achievement that you feel personally feel proud about, and you thought that you make a difference in the community?
I think a I think my first achievement has been to make people aware of the Muslim community. And that's
Right.
just, I think that's opened the door. And
I'll give you a A plus on that.
no, because I don't want this just door to be open for me. I
Right.
want there to be a long line of people following me in every level, because
But
that's how
you're
they
the one
will.
who broke the glass ceiling anyway.
That was, it so happened. But I think I am interested in several things that I've worked on in different areas in the assembly. I'm very interested in public transportation.
Hmm.
In New Jersey, we have very bad public transportation. New Jersey Transit, and a lot of people in my district take the bus to go to work. The
Right.
buses are unreliable, the routes are not good, the bus itself is not a good, it's not clean, it's not a good bus. And we had wanted, there had been a law made that the New Jersey Transit should get what they call a customer advocate. This
Hmm.
is somebody who will take care of customers. Well,
Hmm.
they kept ignoring it. They were supposed to do it, they never did it.
Hmm.
So with a senator and I together, we put in a bill that New Jersey Transit must get this customer advocate.
Are you talking about the state senator Gordon
Mukherjee.
M. Johnson?
No, I'm talking about State Senator Mukherjee.
Okay,
He's from Hudson County.
I
So
see.
we both worked together on this, and we put in a bill, and now they have a customer advocate. Now,
Mhm.
this person, and I was asking somebody, how is that person working? Are they really taking interest in the customers? And they are listening to complaints. They are trying to work on that.
Mhm.
Another thing that I am very concerned about is the environment.
Mhm.
In New Jersey, we have a lot of polluted areas. We have a lot of bad environment in New Jersey. And there is something called PFAS, PFAS. The chemical name is too long, but we
Mhm.
call them PFAS. These are chemicals that are in our environment. If you went and got a blood test right now, you'll have PFAS in your system. I have PFAS in my system because they are in water, in air, in our food, in our soil, in the things we buy. It's a byproduct of plastics. I wanted to ban them. We should not allow people to add these elements into our environment. It was very hard to do that. So I said, I'll do one step at a time. So, one step that I did was we took, firefighting foam has a lot of those PFAS.
Mhm.
So I was able to get a bill to remove them from the firefighting foam and allow municipalities to use foam that does not have that thing. Because when you do firefighting, the firefighters, the people standing around the fire, the people running the hoses, the family standing up, they're all breathing that environment. And
Mhm.
that has been known to cause cancer. So I was very anxious to do something that would get rid of that. So that is one of the bills. Then I have worked in the maternal health field.
Mhm.
Maternal health is a problem in New Jersey. You'll be surprised. This is a modern industrial country, but
Right.
it is still a problem in many communities.
And New Jersey is one of the progressive state, and
Yes,
a-
yes,
and the district that you are representing is one of the wealthiest. So
yes, it
it's
is. But
you're
there
saying.
has been systemic racism in every field in the United States over two and a half hundred years.
Wow.
And that spills over into everything. So
Mhm.
there's been systemic racism against blacks. And in New Jersey, black maternal health
Hmm.
does not have the same outcomes even as much as Asians. They have worse outcomes than even us Asians.
Can
So
you
this
break it down a little bit? Like, how is that possible? For example, if a white family or Asian family goes to Hackensack Meridian Hospital versus a black family goes, how they can be mistreated?
it's not a question of mistreatment. It's a lack of cultural understanding and a
Hmm.
lack of education to the mother. The mother comes home.
Hmm.
All our mothers come. The mothers come home.
Hmm.
Now, when the mother is home, most of the postpartum deaths occur in the. Most of the maternal health issues occur in the postpartum period.
I see.
So the mother comes home. You have a brand new baby.
Hmm.
As it is, you're stressed out.
Yeah.
Often people have issues which they don't, catch, and
Right.
it so happens that traditionally, and I've been on panels with black women doctors who say this themselves.
Hmm.
Traditionally, when black women complain, particularly to non-white, non-black doctors,
Hmm.
it is not given the same attention as others.
I
So
see.
it creates problem. But now we have this in New Jersey. We now have a visiting nurse program, and this is applicable to everyone, rich or poor.
Hmm.
Once your baby is born, within 2 weeks, a nurse will come and visit you in the house to check on you, to check on the baby, to make sure no problem is starting. A lot of mothers have mental health.
To every mother, every mother.
Every mother can get that. It's
Okay.
across the board for New Jersey. Doesn't matter what your income is.
You said can get that. Like they have to apply to
You
have that.
have to, when you it's called Family Connect,
I
and
see.
you can get it when you have the baby. The hospital is technically supposed to inform you, or you can yourself say, I want a nurse to come and visit me, and the
All right.
nurse will come. She will visit you, and
Mhm.
she then another thing is, black women tend to have higher rates of unnecessary C-sections than non-black women,
I see. I wonder why is that?
because sometimes doctors have schedules they want to keep. There is a lot of unnecessary C-section in other communities also, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
White and Asians and browns all fall under that. They
Hmm.
have schedules they don't want to disrupt. There is, in some cases it's the money, because the C-section pays more
Right.
than a natural
The
birth.
surgery, right? It's a surgery. They can bill
It is,
higher
yes,
eventually.
yes. So, but it so happens that records show it happens more often with black women. So
Hmm.
we even introduced a program that there should be what they call, there's a word, doula. A doula is a health professional, a woman who
Hmm.
will work with women who are expecting babies before they give birth. They will go with them to medical appointments. They will make sure that nothing happens there, that the I'm not a physician. I won't know what's happening or not happening when I'm at a doctor's office. I will trust what the doctor says, even if the doctor is saying something which may or may not be in my best interest. But
Hmm.
these doulas will help. They will be with them during the birth. They will advise them afterwards. So these kind of things we are bringing into the system,
Hmm.
so that the outcomes improve. And this has been happening for a few years, and we have seen the outcomes improving slowly, but it's happening.
Right, right. So far you mentioned that you are passionate about solving the public transportation problem. You are already taking steps to all these medical issues that we just talked about. You talked about the environment and food security as well,
Yeah,
right?
I chair the Children, Families, and Food Security Committee, and
Mhm.
food security is a very important thing. It's very important for us
Like a lot of
because
people
in
would think that, hey, this is the cream of Bergen County that you are representing, where there are most of the dealers are wealthy enough, at least to
no,
buy their
sir,
own food.
no,
What is
sir,
the
you'll
real
be
scenario? Can
surprised.
you tell us a little more on that?
Yes, you'll be surprised. The problem started in the pandemic. I mean, there's always people who have a food issue. In
Right,
the pandemic, it increased because people couldn't go out, couldn't go to work, didn't have the cash ready.
right.
And every I've visited practically every food bank across New Jersey.
Hmm.
Every one of them said, we thought it would go down after pandemic. No, it started going up because
Interesting.
grocery prices have gone high. You know that.
Yeah.
Grocery prices have gone high.
Tell
Rent
me
set
more
all
about the egg prices, if we can
egg
touch upon. I'm
prices.
just kidding.
I went to the store the other day and they said you can't buy more than two of those, those
Yeah,
packets of
dozens.
eggs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I,
And
I,
they
I
were
keep
not
telling my
cheap.
wife that, hey, don't walk alone with some eggs in the street. You can get robbed.
Somebody will mug you. No, but
Yeah.
really, and so we have to make sure that, and then the ones who suffers the most, the elderly and
Hmm.
the children.
Right.
So I've worked on bills to subsidize school lunch and increase it. In 2024, my bill was signed, which I worked with others on a bill that
Hmm.
increased eligibilities of families whose children could get food subsidies,
Hmm.
school lunch, reduced price school lunch, free school lunch,
Hmm.
and increase the number of families who could access that. So that was very important.
Hmm.
And I have been able to get a grant. This woman in Bergen County has started a halal pantry now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think she's the only one. It's halal. You can get halal meat there whenever she can get it when she has the funds.
Hmm.
She has fresh produce, and I really encourage her a lot because I hope others will do it also. And I have noticed that other pantries, they are starting to look at it and think about it because people come to their pantries. There are Muslims who need help, but
Right.
there is,
Just take
you
the
know,
vegetarian item and don't touch the meat items from there,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But why shouldn't they get proteins? Everybody else gets proteins. Why shouldn't they be able to take a chicken home if somebody else is taking? So we
Right.
need the halal thing. So that's something I'm working on, hoping that we can increase halal foods in pantries. It's going to be a slow process. This year we have a very tough budget. We've been told that the budget is going to be very hard. I don't know what kind of money there will be in it because we're still waiting. They're working on that. But we need to encourage these things. We need to be conscious of all uh, cultures in our district.
Making it inclusive for everybody.
Everybody. If there's a Asian Chinese family, they should be able to go to a pantry and find things that they need to cook Chinese meals with.
Right, right. So looks like you are working all this policy and you have made significant progress on all these policies that directly impact everybody that living in your district. Why did you face primary then? Like usually, if I'm not wrong, the primaries are faced if they're not happy on their elected representative.
Well, unfortunately, the primary no, I haven't seen any literature saying that Shama Haider and Ellen Park made this bad policy. I
Okay.
think they're not. It's not a question of policy that they are against us. It's identity, and
Mhm.
that I cannot change.
Tell us a little more. Like you are an Asian, you are a Muslim, you're an Oman, and your running mate, Alan Park, is a first Korean elected ever to the assembly. What do you mean by identity politics?
It's who we are. It's because we are not. We are not what
You're
our.
not white, you are not male, and
We are not white. We are not
you,
male, and
you don't say yes sir to the corporations. So like the candidates, can you tell us a little more? Break it down for us, please.
well, there are four candidates running.
Hmm.
And like I said, it's really not about policy. This has all become a question of identity, which is unfortunate. I
Hmm.
wish they would pick on our policies. It's unfortunate that all the way it's being presented, it's not our policies. But that's all right. That's what primaries are for. People have a choice to run for whatever office they want, and we are there to fight it. We'll fight it as much as we can.
Are you saying that your strongest opponent are looking at you and saying that, hey, why there are people of color and immigrant are being our leader? Why not there are some white male? Uh,
I can't speak for that. I don't know what they are saying,
yeah,
but
I'll leave that to up to the voters as well, where they
I
can
can't say
compare.
what they are thinking. I can only tell you we are working very hard. That's
Okay.
we are trying to do our best, and we have 10 towns in our district,
Hmm.
and we have very diverse people in our towns. We have Koreans, we have Indians, we have Pakistanis, we have Bangladeshis,
Hmm.
we have blacks, we have whites, we have different religions,
Yeah.
all kinds of people.
Right.
And our job as legislators is not to work for one community or one idea, but to work for everyone. I
Mhm.
may be a Democrat and be elected as a Democrat, but I'm going to serve the Republicans in my district just as much.
Right.
We never, when people, we have an office, and
Mhm.
there's two jobs in this. As an assembly person, I have two jobs.
Mhm.
One job is to be a legislator, to make laws, to go to Trenton, to attend, to listen to people's bills and ideas. My other job is to be a constituent services person. So,
Mhm.
say you have an issue with your Medicaid coverage.
Yeah.
You're not, something has happened, and they're saying no, they're denying you your coverage, or then my office will advocate on your behalf. They will
Mhm.
call the correct office. They will reach out. If I can't solve it, we'll go to our national, to our federal leaders. We'll go to the senator. We'll go to the
Mhm.
congressman and
Mhm.
say, please help this person. We are having this issue with them.
Right.
Somebody may have an issue with their, excuse me, driver's license.
Mhm.
So we will go and help. So, or the landlord is troubling them, or the tenant is troubling them.
Yeah.
That is constituent services. And we never ask, who
Mhm.
are you? Where did you come from? What is your no? Somebody calls, it's my duty to help.
Right. 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 That makes sense. If you get elected, will you be continue working on the things that we have discussed, or do you have something new agenda to
I have a lot
check
of
in as well?
things. I have a lot of things which are still pending.
Hmm.
Bills don't, when I, this is funny, when I joined the assembly and I got sworn in,
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I'll write a bill and it'll be done.
A
Doesn't work like that.
lot of bureaucracy, I imagine.
Lot of work, not bureaucracy, lot of rules and regs to go through. You write the bill.
Hmm.
They have to make sure it's constitutional, first of all, and
Right.
it's not conflicting with some other law. And
Hmm.
then I alone cannot make a bill into a law. I have to find a senator in the Senate to agree with me and do the same bill in the Senate.
Hmm.
And those two bills have to be identical.
Right.
And then when both houses pass those identical bills,
Hmm.
only then will it go to the governor. And then the governor has to decide, I like this, I don't like this, change that. It's a very slow process. So anytime I get a bill signed by the governor, it's a big celebration.
Right.
But I have a lot of bills that are pending, because, and also when we do the bill, it's not just me sitting and doing the bill. Then we have to present it to a committee. Then everybody can come and criticize it, support it, talk against it, testify against it. You can come into the assembly and say, I don't like that bill. This should be changed. That should be. And we have to listen to that and
Mhm.
adjust the bill accordingly. So
Mhm.
it's a very slow, deliberate process.
Right.
So I have a lot of bills still waiting to go. I have bills that I've for for children. I have a bill for special needs children. I have a grandchild who has special needs. So I'm very conscious of
Mhm.
families with special. My grandson lives in New York, but in New Jersey there are plenty of families who need support. So
Right.
I do a lot. I like to do a lot of work in that field. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that's still waiting to be finished.
Okay, great. Looks like you are very focused and very engaged on the local bills and all the services the community needs to get. Let's talk about a little bit of the national politics. I know that we have a now new administration, and this is a new normal now to see that ICE agents, the immigration agents, are showing up doors to doors. They are not only harassing the immigrants whose paperwork is pending, they are now started harassing international students, green card holders. In some cases,
Even
they are
citizens,
talking.
even
Yes.
some citizens have been harassed.
Who? Sorry, one more
Even
time.
some citizens.
Yes, some naturalized citizens they're talking about to be harassed as well. You talked about immigration and you talked about your immigrant life in the beginning of our show. As a New Jersey legislature yourself and as an elected representative yourself, is there anything the local leaders, such as you, can do to stop this kind of harassment in the community?
Well, first of all, let me say that this new administration, I have never seen an administration which is so cold hearted and so cruel. That's all I can, those are the only words that fit them. They don't care at all about ripping families apart. They don't care about throwing people in jail. They don't care about anything. They have this unbelievable agenda of just making of just throwing
Going
all
to the very common people who are just living their
just
life
because
and
they are
serving their
not white,
families,
just
and
because
then
they are
tearing
not
them up.
white,
Yes.
law abiding citizens, just because they are not white, because these people, they are extreme white supremacist types. You have seen what they have done.
Mhm.
You saw what they did in Newark with the Delaney Hall, and with the mayor of Newark who's running for governor. They took him to jail. This is the kind of things they are doing
They
in
are
my
doing their
district.
oversight responsibility, visiting an ICE facility and got arrested from there.
Yes, absolutely. They got arrested, even though the congressional delegation, our congressmen, have oversight. They can go and visit. But now they've got one of our congresswomen, they've pursuing her, harassing her, dragging her to court, and cases against her.
They arrested a immigration judge, like alleging that she is blocking ICE from doing their job. Can you imagine that? It never
Yes,
been
yes,
heard before.
unacceptable, unacceptable. In my district, they showed up in Palisades Park. They walked around districts. They showed up in Hackensack and those areas. They're going to, I mean, innocent people shopping in a grocery store. You know what the outcome has been? I've been meeting with a lot of people.
Mhm.
People are not just sending their kids to school because they are afraid that they'll come to the schools, they will grab the children, and the parents won't know, or they will go home and grab the parents, and there'll be two, three young children left with no home to go to.
Mhm.
School attendance has dropped. People have stopped going to places like the pantries. Were telling me that now we've started delivering the food because they're too afraid to come.
Can you imagine? This
Yeah,
is
and
United
I met
States
a
of America.
farmer.
A
I met
lot
a
of immigrants are facing this kind of homegrown problem. Can you
Yes,
imagine that?
and this is a country of immigrants. It is totally a country of immigrants. The only real Americans off the soil are the Native Americans. Everybody else is an immigrant.
So if
I
you're
don't
not
care
a
if it's
Native American or descent of Native American, how do you have the audacity to indicate and point your finger to the other immigrants where
exactly,
you
exactly,
are an immigrant or you are a descendant of immigrant, right?
exactly. Everybody. So what if your forefathers came 200 years ago?
What
Doesn't
is
matter.
this all done to them back then?
Exactly. So it's cruel and inhuman.
Mhm,
And but this is a very erratic federal government.
mhm,
Every time you open the newspaper, you're a person who's involved with the politics and news. You know that
mhm.
every day when you open the newspaper, you don't know what will be in it. What new executive order has come down? What is going to happen? And which executive order which came yesterday? Yesterday it was tariffs. Today it's no tariffs. Tomorrow it's tariffs.
Very chaotic.
And it's all really, all this tariffs and all this is market manipulation. It's
Mhm.
just done to make the billionaires even richer.
And
You
the
and I are not going to
president
become
talks
rich.
about it. President talks about it in publicly that hey, you made a couple of $100 billion yesterday
Yes,
because of my
yes,
actions.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Right. Now, my original question was like the rules and the executive orders and everything from the federal level. In the local level, do you guys have any power, any policy, any strategy to combat it? Like,
Well,
let me give you an example. In New York City, an undocumented immigrant get their New York City ID, which
Mhm.
allows them to open up a bank account and apply for so many other facilities. Otherwise, they couldn't. Like from New Jersey's perspective, we have undocumented immigrant living in our society as our neighbors and our everyday duelers. Do you have any strategy, any plan for them?
Well, there is a law, I'm saying law, there's a bill waiting to be signed. It's
Mhm.
called the Immigration Trust Act.
Okay.
I'm also part of that bill. And that says that the state officials do not have to, uh, how should I say it, work to support ICE. If
They don't have
ICE,
to cooperate.
no,
Local
exactly.
authority doesn't have to be
Yeah, they
cooperative
don't
with
have
ICE.
to. They don't. They don't because. it's still not signed into law. We want that to be signed into. It's just an extra level of protection. It's
Right.
just an extra level of protection. If
Right.
we have the law, we can then say it. What's happening is organizations like the ACLUI,
ACLU. Yeah.
they have those red cards.
Mhm.
They've told you how to react, which tells you how to do if the ICE
Not
agents
to open the door and
to
not
open the
to
door.
speak, not to give you
But
information voluntarily.
Mr. Ahmed, all I say is this: Did you and I, did we ever believe that in the United States there would be this element of fear among our communities?
So this is
Did we,
unprecedented, I must say.
did
I'm
we
here
ever
about
think that we would think
ofelecting.
twice?
I never heard of this thing.
Yes, I went to a clinic the other day, social, a free clinic. I went to visit them.
Mhm.
We go and visit all these places, and they told me, they said they used to have a waiting room
Mhm.
out, like, in the foyer where the patients used to come and wait. Now they don't let them wait in that room. They have a separate room inside because they are afraid that if ICE comes there and all the doctors and nurses are busy inside,
Mhm.
these people sitting in the foyer may get into trouble. So they take them inside and they lock the door. They don't let anybody in unless they know they're either a patient or a business, and they don't let them sit in view of. A lot of buildings that you can see the
Yeah.
thing. They
Yeah.
don't allow that. What is this environment of fear that is being built around us?
And
It
also,
was
like in the interviews, many ICE agent acknowledge that they have a quota to fill up.
Yes,
So, which is like catch people, bring people. It doesn't matter if they're immigrant. It doesn't matter if they're criminal or not. So,
documented or not.
just to save their jobs, sometimes they just go and find, regardless of the criminal background or not, they just pick up people.
And I saw an interview with a farmer. And
Mhm.
he said, nobody's showing up to pick the crops anymore. I'm afraid that my whole field is going to rot where it is. Look at the damage it's doing economically also.
Mhm.
But this reality is the federal government is run by billionaires who
Mhm.
never have to worry about these things. They don't know what the price of groceries is. They don't know how people live on a day to day level. They don't have to ever go into a shop and buy anything. They don't ever have to tell their children, no, I'm sorry, you can only have one piece of this because then your brother won't get it. So,
Mhm.
that's the sad reality. It's
Right.
like an alternate reality.
Right, right. Speaking of this reality, let's talk about the last election where Democratic Party lost the presidency, the House, the Senate. It is one of the biggest defeat in recent history for Democrats. Many people would argue that the return of Trump only happened due to the failure of Biden. During the Biden administration, especially the young people did not vote for Democrat, which was the historic vote bank for the Democrats. The reason young people didn't vote, among many, people would argue that the war in Gaza impacted a lot. Young people across the America, including the Columbia University, where I used to teach as well, came out and protested. But the Biden administration did not handle those situations well. They sent police here, they sent bomb there to Israelis to kill and commit a genocide, and that reflected in the election. Do you agree?
You know, I am. That's one of the saddest times I think ever. That Biden was should have realized that he was not going to be able to have a second term. When he got elected, the general understanding was he would only run for one term.
Mhm,
And it is sad that people around him, the sycophants and those around him,
mhm.
for their own purposes,
Personal gains.
personal gain, they you know they made him run again, and look what a disaster that created. It was disastrous for the Democrats.
There was no primary for the presidential election,
Not
and
only
it was,
that,
yeah.
you could see that he was having trouble. You could see he was failing in health. You could see he was having issues. Why are you doing this to the country?
Just the bombshell report that he is in the final stage of his post-strate cancer, and the
Yes.
doctors are saying if it is the final stage and it went up to the bones, it didn't start yesterday. It
No,
is
it didn't.
probably he was tested positive for the cancer when he first got into the office. Why
And
hiding this information, and why
and the thing
pretending you
is,
are okay, your cognitive did not decline, where Biden is seen to be handshaking in the air and not finding the way to get out of the stage? Why you did all this to the Democratic Party? Now
I
this
agree.
is where you led
Yeah,
all of us.
absolutely, you're right. And Mr. Ahmed, you and I may not go to a doctor just because we say, what, we'll go
Right,
next year. But the president gets a physical and a checkup constantly.
right.
That's not one person who can say, I'm not going to the doctor, because
Yes.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
The president is all. Why do this to the country?
Why lying? Why?
Why do this to the country? I mean, his it's just like it's also angers me when I think about it,
Mhm,
because had we had the chance to have a proper primary, to have other people come and run, we
mhm.
would have got a candidate, not a last minute candidate, but a real candidate. And there could have been, and there was no enthusiasm in the Democratic Party
Yes.
to run.
Right.
There
Right.
was no enthusiasm. And the campaign was poorly run. It was, I mean, I will say Kamala Harris did her best. She went everywhere, but she started from, uh, you know,
She
on
didn't
a
have
bad
much
wicket.
time. She didn't have much time. She didn't
2 months,
galvanize all the voters.
2 months.
Also, to against her, my point is she couldn't differentiate herself from the Biden. We never knew what is her different agenda. Like if Biden was doing this, that we are not all happy. What is her separate agenda? We
Was
never
not.
knew.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. She. I don't know whether it was a false sense of loyalty, or she had the same people who
I
ran.
think
I don't know what.
confidence, the way she laughed, I feel lack of confidence was there, and I don't think she thought that she's going to be the candidate soon. She didn't know either, probably.
Yeah, it was just a disaster of major proportions, and I totally blame Biden for getting us Trump. There's
Right.
nobody else to blame. There's nobody else to blame. Him and him alone. And because at some point you can say, oh, he there were other people there, or but no, he was the president. He
Mm.
should have realized. He should have known that this is not. I said I'll run only one term, and that will give people a chance to develop the next candidate.
Right. He
But
did.
people go to high positions, they become arrogant, they think they are indispensable, they think they are the nobody can touch them.
That the Messiah.
Yeah, I agree.
And also the hypocrisy that also let us down a lot for a lot of Democrats, that when you accusing your opponent Trump that he might forgive his children and the January 6th incursions, then you do it for your
Do
family.
it for your own son. What? No.
Yes, you pardon everybody in the family for the crime they did, the
And
crime
he
they didn't do.
said, I will not ever pardon. He was asked this question
And he
while he
did
was still
exactly
president, and
what
he
he
said,
said
no,
he
I will
won't do.
not do it.
Yes. And he did exactly what he said he ought to do. So the hypocrisy, the sheer lie, the hiding of information
You
got
know,
us there in this very point.
it's in a way it's very sad that he had such a good career for so many years. He was supposed to be a very man of high integrity. He was supposed to be the person who kept everybody's conscience, and look how he fell. It's nobody will remember anything good that he did. Everybody will remember that he was thrown out by the Democratic Party.
That's
Why?
becoming his legacy.
Just because that's his legacy. Just because he became so arrogant that he thought without him nothing could happen.
Right.
Sad, very sad.
Right. We are going over a little bit of our time.
I know,
Just
I realize that.
let me ask you this anyway. In New Jersey, when I understand that sending the military aid and the bombs and everything is a federal matter. But in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, New Jersey itself punishes the boycott and divestment movement in many forms. The business who wants to follow that, there are bills and laws against this kind of peaceful demonstration. How do you feel, and do you have any plan to help and make United States just around the world by letting people, your constitute, to express their feelings by not doing any kind of business that they think is complicit to the genocides?
You know, I'm going to say in very realistic terms,
Mhm.
policies that come into place, any policy
Right.
comes into place because there is a strong group or a lobby pushing that policy. Whether it's something as simple as there should be only blue number plates on a car or whatever,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
somebody, some group supports a policy or does not support a policy, which makes it happen or not happen.
Mhm.
For those of us who want to have a specific policy in place, any group, I say, not just us, any group, you must be you must have a presence. You
Mhm.
must have a presence. You must be seen as a block of people who will be there, who will have a voice, who will participate in politics, who will spend money on candidates. That is how policy blocks are built.
Mhm.
I'm just focusing on the Muslim community right now. We have not, in New Jersey, we may have done it in Michigan.
Mhm.
In New Jersey, we have not been able to build that block as yet. We have
Right.
not been able to build that block. We need to come together, not necessarily all of us in, as one monolith. When I say come together, even in our own little towns, we need to encourage people from, and this applies, by the way, to any community,
Mhm.
run for office and vote regularly.
Mhm.
How many people do you know who actually vote in the primary?
Uh, uh,
Very.
that is going to be my next and I believe the last question.
Yeah,
How important, in your views, for people who knows you, who thinks that you are doing a good job, but they also think that, oh, this is just one vote. I don't have to go to a vote for a primary. Maybe in the
absolutely.
final election, yes, but in the primary, it's not that important. What would you say?
I,
What,
I say to
as
them,
for the importance for them to go, and what is the date for them to vote, and how? Can you tell us a little
well,
more?
the first and foremost thing I say is if you don't go and vote in the primary, then somebody else's candidate will get elected, right?
Mhm.
If you don't go out and vote in the primary, somebody else will go out and vote and their candidate gets the job. Yours will not. So that is the first. This because it's in the primary that the candidate who runs in November will be elected. For
Mhm.
your viewers who don't know the American system, we have two elections in the election cycle, and one is the primary where the parties, the Democrat and Republican parties, vote for their candidates, and then in November they run against each other.
Mhm.
But if you don't come out and vote in the primary, it could be anybody else's candidate. So that is why primaries are just, if not more important than November. Because if you want a particular candidate to run in November, you have to all show up to vote for them in the primary.
Mhm.
This is why I'm telling everywhere I'm going. There are people who have no understanding of pride. Do you know we have almost 160 something thousand registered voters in our district, maybe even close to 170, it goes up and down. And in the last primary, I think only 15,000 voted.
Can you imagine?
Isn't that shocking?
That is 15%
Even less, probably.
less.
It's sad.